entendeu? Vai fazer que nem a véia fez na Itália. Hoje achei que ela ia passar pela... Não posso. Hello, guys, again.
Hello, teacher.
Hello.
I hope you are still fine after 2 hours of intensive English. I'm glad you have survived it. I assure you that you will enjoy today's class very much. Okay?
Okay.
Okay.
It's a very interesting topic. I'm just writing somebody here because she told me to talk about this and now I don't see her in class. Just give me a second. Okay, did you receive the material from yesterday that I mailed everyone?
Yes.
Was there any problem or no?
No problem.
Okay, glad to hear that. What else we are going to have tonight? Your suggestion. Okay. Claudia is here. Eric is here. Mari is here. And Regina is here. Okay. Erika, Regina, Claudia. All right. So let me show you what I have prepared, especially for you tonight. I'm sure, as I said, you're going to like it. I myself enjoyed a lot. Have you ever heard about a platform called TED? Or maybe you've heard TED, but I think it's TED. Have you ever heard about this platform? You can download it. Yes.
I haven't.
You have, Claudia?
No, I haven't.
Ah, okay. If you go to your Play Store or your iOS, I don't know how they call it, Apple. I've never had an iPhone.
Ted, I know.
Ah, okay. Yes. Daddy, yes. Dad is the brother of John. You know, John and Dad, yes. They're brothers, right? Anyway, we are going to have a presentation made by an expert in improving your conversation. The heading is 10 ways to have a better conversation. All right? So,
All right.
I would highly suggest that you pay attention, okay? Why pay attention? Because this can help you not only with your English, but also with your personal Portuguese skills. Because she gives you tips and hints on how to be a better conversationalist. And believe me, they are very interesting. And maybe you will picture yourself in many of the scenarios that she mentions. And then if you analyze from a critical point of view, you will notice that maybe sometimes it's hard for you to have a nice, smooth conversation. Okay, Carol?
Yes, this video is amazing. I love it.
Yes.
I'm pick up in all the situations. I am terrible.
You
Yeah.
in all the situations, Carol.
Yes, teacher. I have a lot of difficulty to pay attention in others. I have a lot of difficulty. I am super objective. So sometimes when the other person is not very objective, I have difficulty to pay attention.
I see. Yes, but it's funny because that's the same thing my wife said. When I watch it, I like it. I forward it to my wife, and she said, "Oh my gosh, I saw myself in most of the situations there." And it's interesting. I thought it was really interesting, Carol. And as I like to do, just watching something without getting in depth into that is not good. So I really prepared what I thought it was an excellent lesson based on your video, right? Yes, you have not received this material, but you will get it tomorrow, okay? But you see, I prepared like, let me see, 17 questions, okay? Based on this. So we are going to listen once. You don't have the passage as yesterday. And this, even though it might sound a little more complex, it is not. You just need to focus. And this is an interesting topic because it's not about someone's life. It can be about your life. You can learn here how, that's the most amazing, how to be a great conversationalist in any language, right? So I sincerely hope that you don't start thinking about your dates for tomorrow or your bills or, I don't know, your next barbecue for the weekend or whatever. Just listen to the woman. She's not only funny, she's pretty smart, okay?
Okay.
I don't know if she's a doctor or a psychiatrist or a psychologist or I don't know. Or maybe she's a psychologist because she's really good and a doctor. So anyway, this is what we have to listen. As soon as I can find the right button here. Okay. This. Let me know if you can hear the sound well.
Yeah.
Can you?
Yes.
All right, I want to see a show of hands.
Can you see it?
Food?
No.
Not yet. Now yes.
And how many of you know
Yes,
at least
yes.
one person that you avoid because you just don't want to talk to them? You know, it used to be that in order to
I'll start again.
All right, I want to see a show of hands. How many of you have unfriended someone on Facebook because they said something offensive about politics or religion, childcare, food? And how many of you know at least one person that you avoid because you just don't want to talk to them? You know, it used to be that in order to have a polite conversation, we just had to follow the advice of Henry Higgins and My Fair Lady, stick to the weather and your health. But these days, with climate change and anti-vaxxing, those subjects are not safe either. So this world that we live in, this world in which every conversation has the potential to devolve into an argument where our politicians can't speak to one another and where even the most trivial of issues have someone fighting both passionately for it and against it, it's not normal. Pew Research did a study of 10,000 American adults, and they found that at this moment we are more polarized, we are more divided than we ever have been in history. We're less likely to compromise, which means we're not listening to each other, and we make decisions about where to live, who to marry, and even who our friends are going to be based on what we already believe. Again, that means we're not listening to each other. A conversation requires a balance between talking and listening, and somewhere along the way we lost that balance. Now, part of that is due to technology, the smartphones that you all either have in your hands or close enough that you could grab them really quickly. According to Pew Research, about a third of American teenagers send more than 100 texts a day. And many of them, almost most of them, are more likely to text their friends than they are to talk to them face to face. There's this great piece in The Atlantic. It was written by a high school teacher named Paul Barnwell. And he gave his kids a communication project. He wanted to teach them how to speak on a specific subject without using notes. And he said this, I came to realize that conversational competence might be the single most overlooked skill we fail to teach. Kids spend hours each day engaging with ideas and each other through screens, but rarely do they have an opportunity to hone their interpersonal communication skills. It might sound like a funny question, but we have to ask ourselves, is there any 21st century skill more important than being able to sustain coherent, confident conversation? Now, I make my living talking to people. Nobel Prize winners, truck drivers, billionaires, kindergarten teachers, heads of state, plumbers. I talk to people that I like. I talk to people that I don't like. I talk to some people that I disagree with deeply on a personal level, but I still have a great conversation with them. So I'd like to spend the next 10 minutes or so teaching you how to talk and how to listen. Many of you have already heard a lot of advice on this. Things like look the person in the eye, think of interesting topics to discuss in advance, nod and smile to show that you're paying attention. Repeat back what you just heard or summarize it. So I want you to forget all of that. It is crap. There is no reason to learn how to show you're paying attention if you are, in fact, paying attention. Now, I actually use the exact same skills as a professional interviewer that I do in regular life. So I'm going to teach you how to interview people, and that's actually going to help you learn how to be better conversationalists. Learn to have a conversation without wasting your time, without getting bored, and please God, without offending anybody. We've all had really great conversations. We've had them before. We know what it's like. The kind of conversation where you walk away feeling engaged and inspired, or where you feel like you've made a real connection or you've been perfectly understood. There is no reason why most of your interactions can't be like that. So I have 10 basic rules. I'm going to walk you through all of them, but honestly, if you just choose one of them and master it, you're already going to enjoy better conversations. Number 1, don't multitask. And I don't mean just set down your cell phone or your tablet or your car keys or whatever's in your hand. I mean, be present. Be in that moment. Don't be thinking about your argument you have with your boss. Don't be thinking about what you're going to have for dinner. If you want to get out of the conversation, get out of the conversation. But don't be half in it and half out of it. Number 2, don't pontificate. If you wanted to state your opinion without any opportunity for response or argument or pushback or growth, write a blog. No, there's a really good reason why I don't allow pundits on my show, because they're really boring. If they're a conservative, they're going to hate Obama and food stamps and abortion. If they're a liberal, they're going to hate big banks and oil corporations and Dick Cheney. Totally predictable. And you don't want to be like that. You need to enter every conversation assuming that you have something to learn. The famed therapist Eb Scott Peck said that true listening requires a setting aside of oneself. And sometimes that means setting aside your personal opinion. He said that sensing this acceptance, the speaker will become less and less vulnerable and more likely to open up the inner recesses of his or her mind to the listener. Again, assume that you have something to learn. Bill Nye, everyone you will ever meet knows something that you don't. I put it this way, everybody is an expert in something. Number 3, use open-ended questions. In this case, take a cue from journalists. Start your questions with who, what, where, when, why, or how. If you put in a complicated question, you're going to get a simple answer out. If I ask you, were you terrified? You're going to respond to the most powerful word in that sentence, which is terrified, and the answer is, yes, I was, or no, I wasn't. Were you angry? Yes, I was very angry. Let them describe it. They're the ones that know. Try asking them things like, what was that like? How did that feel? Because then they might have to stop for a moment and think about it, and you're going to get a much more interesting response. Number 4, go with the flow. That means thoughts will come into your mind, and you need to let them go out of your mind. We've heard interviews often in which a guest is talking for several minutes and then the host comes back in and asks a question which seems like it comes out of nowhere or it's already been answered. That means the host probably stopped listening 2 minutes ago because he thought of this really clever question and he was just bound and determined to say that. And we do the exact same thing. We're sitting there having a conversation with someone and then we remember that time that we met Hugh Jackman in a coffee shop. And we stop listening. Stories and ideas are going to come to you. You need to let them come and let them go. Number 5, if you don't know, say that you don't know. Now, people on the radio, especially on NPR, are much more aware that they're going on the record. And so they're more careful about what they claim to be an expert in and what they claim to know for sure. Do that. Err on the side of caution. Talk should not be cheap. Number 6, don't equate your experience with theirs. If they're talking about having lost a family member, don't start talking about the time that you lost a family member. If they're talking about the trouble that they're having at work, don't tell them about how much you hate your job. It's not the same. It is never the same. All experiences are individual. And more importantly, it is not about you. You don't need to take that moment to prove how amazing you are or how much you've suffered. Somebody asked Stephen Hawking once what his IQ was, and he says, I have no idea. People who brag about their IQs are losers. Conversations are not a promotional opportunity. Number 7, try not to repeat yourself. It's condescending and it's really boring. And we tend to do it a lot, especially in work conversations or in conversations with our kids. We have a point to make, so we just keep rephrasing it over and over. Don't do that. Number 8, stay out of the weeds. Frankly, people don't care about the years, the names, the dates, all those details that you're struggling to come up with in your mind. They don't care. What they care about is you. They care about what you're like, what you have in common. So forget the details. Leave them out. Number 9, this is not the last one, but it is the most important one. Listen. I cannot tell you how many really important people have said that listening is perhaps the number one most important skill that you could develop. Buddha said, and I'm paraphrasing, if your mouth is open, you're not learning. And Calvin Coolidge said, no man ever listened his way out of a job. Why do we not listen to each other? Number 1, we'd rather talk. When I'm talking, I'm in control. I don't have to hear anything I'm not interested in. I'm the center of attention. I can bolster my own identity. But there's another reason. We get distracted. The average person talks at about 225 words per minute, but we can listen at up to 500 words per minute. So our minds are filling in those other 275 words. And look, I know it takes effort and energy to actually pay attention to someone. But if you can't do that, you're not in a conversation. You're just two people shouting out barely related sentences in the same place. You have to listen to one another. Stephen Covey said it very beautifully. He said, most of us don't listen with the intent to understand. We listen with the intent to reply. One more rule, and number 10, and it's this one. Be brief. All of this boils down to the same basic concept, and it is this one. Be interested in other people. You know, I grew up with a very famous grandfather, and there was kind of a ritual in my home. People would come over to talk to my grandparents, and after they would leave, my mother would come over to us and she'd say, do you know who that was? She was the runner-up to Miss America. He was the mayor of Sacramento. She won a Pulitzer Prize. He's a Russian ballet dancer. And I kind of grew up assuming everyone has some hidden amazing thing about them. And honestly, I think it's what makes me a better host. I keep my mouth shut as often as I possibly can. I keep my mind open, and I'm always prepared to be amazed, and I'm never disappointed. You do the same thing. Go out, talk to people, listen to people, and most importantly, be prepared to be amazed. Thanks.
How was it, guys? Did you get the idea?
Yes.
Did you get the idea of what she was trying to transmit?
Yes.
Yes.
Mhm.
Yes.
Basically, what is the most important concept in everything that she said? What do we
Listen.
need to be in order to be a great conversationalist?
A good listener.
Be present.
Yeah.
Be present, be a good listener, okay? And she said something here that I thought it was really interesting, okay? I don't know if you paid attention when she said, ask questions that will actually let the person show exactly what she felt.
Yeah.
Don't guide
Reflecting.
her. Yes, don't guide her into answering yes or no. Like when she said, were you terrified? The person will either say yes or no and finish the conversation.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mhm.
so it was easier to say, like she said, how
make you
was
feel.
it? Yes, how did you feel? And then the person will need to think about it. Okay?
Mhm.
And that is kind of an interesting point to be learned. Okay? Because many times we don't do that. Okay?
Yes.
So as I said, I will give you a chance to listen again, of course, because I think it's important. But I have prepared a few questions for you. I don't know if you can answer any of them according to Carol. Her mind cannot process two things at the same time, but she mentioned there's something like anti-vaccine. Do you have any idea of what this
Yes.
means?
Letter A.
Yeah.
Wow. Do you know anyone who is an anti-vaxxer?
Probably Trump. I'm kidding, teacher, but probably the pharmaceutical industry. They're still, I think, getting people worse. Should make richer. Don't know.
Yes, but when I said, do you know anyone who is actually anti or anti, both pronunciations are acceptable, vaxxer? Okay, you said Trump. That was funny because it's just like if you knew him in person, okay? But don't you know
Okay.
anyone personally who is an anti-vaxxer?
No.
I do know. I know many people. That
Really,
don't,
teacher? Who?
I have some old friends that don't believe in vaccine. Every time I tell them I'm going to get the flu vaccine, and they start,
Uh-huh.
you're crazy. You should not do that. You get the flu. I said, well,
Oh.
actually, I'm getting the vaccine to avoid the flu. No way. They're going to inject inside of your body
Yes.
some flu virus, and you get infected. And they are afraid of vaccines.
Okay. So I know someone. I have a doctor, otorrinolaryngologist.
That is
And
an extremely long word. Why don't you say
yeah,
eye, ear, and nose doctor? It's much easier.
because I didn't know the name.
Yes. Eye, ear, and
Yeah.
nose.
Ear and nose doctor.
Much easier.
He said that to me once. Old people should not have the flu vaccine.
Because they are afraid of it.
Not because they're afraid of, because he
He's an
said that-
anti-vaxxer?
Yes,
Ah, he's crazy. And he's a doctor. I don't believe this.
yes, yes.
The idea is to create antibodies against the virus and not to get the virus, understand? Or the whatever. I don't care. There is a vaccine. I go there and I say, which side of my ass would you like to see it? Okay. Because nowadays they are not giving any vaccine in the arms anymore, okay? So I don't know why. I hate that, but it's only right
Here,
down there.
my parents took it on their arm.
Really?
Yes,
At the place I used to live in Minas? No. They said
they
there
came
is a
to our
new,
house.
yes, I think there, I don't know if it's a regional restriction, but there they told me it was prohibited to give any vaccine in the arms. So it had to be in the butt.
Okay.
So the first time I remember joking with the nurse, I told her, oh, if you want to see my butt, I can let you see it, but I prefer to have the vaccine in my arm because I spend most of my time sitting and that's going to bother me. And she said, ha, 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 ha. But I really want to see your butt and give the vaccine right there. So I said, okay. I dropped my pants and I told her, enjoy yourself, okay?
Teacher.
Yeah, I did. She was kind of embarrassed, but that's what I did. Okay, I said, okay, enjoy yourself, have fun, okay? And she, okay, but I think she never forgot that conversation because she makes me suffer every time I go there. According to a research done by the Pew Research Center with more than 10,000 American adults, how are people at this moment? More and more united than ever, more and more polarized and divided than ever, more and more focused on ourselves or themselves, more and more lost than ever.
B.
B.
Oh. And you told me you can't do two things at the same time, huh, Carolina Barreiros?
In my defense, I already watched this video.
Okay, here. Okay, themselves is better. Okay. According to the previous survey mentioned there by the Pew Institute, nowadays we are more and more times doing what? Worried about ourselves, less worried about other people, paying attention to other people, or not listening to each other.
D.
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 Wow, guys. And this was a long one, huh? So far, so good. Ah, there comes the motorcycle. Is Isa here? No, she's not here today. So according to a recent survey, most teens nowadays are doing what? ABCD.
B.
B.
B as in Bravo or D as in Delta?
Bravo.
Bravo.
According to the speaker, which of the following things is not a good way to develop a good conversation?
Aula, boss.
All above.
Everybody agrees or no?
Yes. Yeah.
I think we are breaking most of the paradigms I've heard my entire life about how to keep a good conversation going on.
Mm-hmm.
Because since I was young, I was always told that in order to keep a good conversation level, it would always be necessary to keep looking at the eyes of the person.
Yeah.
Okay, to imagine interesting things to talk about, not to let the conversation die, or nod, smile, yeah, sure, yeah, I see, to show that you are interested in the conversation, or you're kidding me, she really said that, you know, like summarize something. And she said, this is all crap.
I did a class of mindfulness teacher, which was about that too. We always are thinking in our minds, response to what the person is talking about. like
Yes.
answers, and we want to, one of the things she said was interesting, we want to always compare the situation the person is and our situation.
Our
My father
situation.
died, my father died too.
This is
Yes.
terrible. It's the worst thing.
Yes, terrible.
Terrible.
Yes, because she said each one has individual
Experience.
and you
Yes.
experience. You can't compare it, understand?
Yes.
So don't
It-
share. Yes.
Yeah, and sometimes, yeah, I don't know. I had a bad experience with this. I worked with other person that always you said something. Always, she told she talked about something that didn't have any relation with the conversation, but we need to point something. For example, I traveled to Swiss. My grandfather was one time. My father in the war
Oh
involved
my
in the
God.
Swiss was terrible. Was terrible conversation. It's terrible.
She needed to
situation.
talk about something.
Exactly.
Yes. Because it made her feel more comfortable in control.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's the
Yeah.
problem.
Can be. Yeah.
Okay. So here, everything she said, for me, it was kind of shocking because I've heard this my entire life.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Like keep looking at the other person's. Okay. So next time I'll be talking to a girl, I'll stop looking at her eyes. I will find some other place to look at.
Teacher.
Yeah, if we are not supposed to keep looking at the other person's eye, I have to find another place to look at.
This is only the skills, teacher.
Really? Okay. What did she mean by the number one rule by don't be a multitask or don't multitask?
Oh, yeah.
Hey,
Hey,
Hey.
we shouldn't do more than one thing at a time. Mindfulness said that too.
Yes. Okay. So if you're talking to a person, talk to this person. Okay. I remember once I was in a restaurant having dinner with two Irish people, and my phone kept ringing, and I would always turn it off because I was actually talking to them, and the phone kept ringing. I turned it off. I think it's disgusting when you're talking to somebody and they say, "Oh, excuse me, please." And they answer their mobile and they keep talking on their mobile for like 5 or 10 minutes. And you just stay there, waiting.
Very.
I hate this. So I give an
I hate
answer.
it too.
And then, but it rang so many times. They told me if I were you, I would answer that call. Yes. I put it in the vibe mode. It started vibrating. So just answer it. That's okay. No worry. We are going to get some food. We were in a barbecue restaurant. And I answered. It was from the security department of my bank asking me if I was in Hong Kong trying to check in a hotel. I said, what? Yes. We have a pending request authorizing for someone who's checking in a Hong Kong hotel for $2,400.
Oh.
And the computer alerted us that it wouldn't be possible to be you because this afternoon at 1 o'clock you were near the airport of São Paulo, but it's not possible for you to be already in Hong Kong. I said, I'm not in Hong Kong, I'm in São Paulo. And they said, so I believe your card has been cloned. Can you believe that in less than 5 hours, my card had been cloned and somebody was already trying to use it in Hong Kong? The other side of the world.
Yeah.
Yes. And I told the guy, oh, but you have not authorized it, have you? He said, no, sir. That's why we needed to talk to you. Sure, it was you. I said, oh, thank God, it's not me, it's not me. Don't please decline that. And they said, yes, we are declining that, but just break up your card. This card is not valid anymore, okay? Thank God I had another card or I wouldn't have money to pay for the dinner, but it was interesting. I avoid answering phone if I am talking to anyone, okay? I think that's totally terrible.
Yes.
She used an expression there, it was one of the points. Don't pontificate. What did she mean by this? Because when we say the pontificate, we are talking about the Pope. So don't pontificate. What is the meaning of this?
Letter C.
Yeah, I think it's letter C.
Don't know.
Is that a guess or you are sure it's letter C?
I guess. For me, it's a guess. I am doubted between B or C.
She
Well,
said,
you can-
set aside your personal opinion.
Okay, so can you guess again then?
Or D, maybe.
Carol,
Sorry.
you were so positive at first, C. And then I asked, are you sure? Maybe B. Or no, maybe D.
Maybe D, yeah.
Why not the A then? What is the idea here, guys? Clara, Regina.
I think it's C. Should be the opinions of her is the best one.
Do you agree with her, Regina? Maria Clara?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. If I say don't pontificate, of course, I do refer to the Pope. But the idea is because the Catholic Church has always tried to impose their opinion, understand? So that is the correct letter C. Carol, follow your instinct. I've told you
always the first.
3 times. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, and if you can guess 6 numbers for the lottery, please tell me, okay?
And to me.
Yes. The Euro lottery is accumulated in 175 million euros, Carol.
Oh my gosh, very good. Huh?
That would be money enough for me to eat a lot of gelato. So please, just give me 6
What
good
are
numbers.
the numbers, Carol?
Oh my gosh, if I know, I tried.
Yeah, we
will
can
try.
split. 175 million euros, okay? Multiplied by 6.
Oh my gosh, very good. Then.
It's much more than the accumulated Mega Sena at the end of the year in Brazil, okay?
Yeah.
She said in one part of her presentation, I don't like have pundits on my show. What is the idea of pundits on my show? She doesn't like having people that can't control their gas during the show. Okay? And they keep making. She doesn't like having people interrupting her show. She doesn't like having expert in any area in her show. She doesn't like have people laughing during her presentation. A, B, C, D, or E?
C.
I think C. I know.
There she goes. No, it's B. No, on the other hand, maybe D.
Teacher, keep calm.
I am.
I don't know.
I don't
I
know.
think it's B.
Carol, what have I told you 3
okay.
times only
I
this week?
see. Ah, okay. It's the C. It's the first is always the correct.
Maybe not the first boyfriend, but the first guess is always the best. Okay?
Okay. What means pundits, teacher? Pundits.
It's an expert an expert in one area which is invited to make a public presentation about the area that he's an expert in. Okay?
Okay.
How would you always enter in a conversation? This is a very interesting point.
Making sure that you always have something to learn.
I agree.
I agree.
I agree.
Thank you.
Me too, or me 5. You see, if you always start a conversation, keeping in mind, I can always learn something from this person, even if he or she is boring. It's easier to handle it, okay? Because she mentioned there that everybody is an expert in something, even if something sometimes is nothing, but the guy is an expert in nothing, okay? So we can learn something. Doesn't make much sense, but that's what she said. What did she mean when she said to use open-ended question in a conversation?
Open.
Letter D.
C.
I think C.
E.
A, B, C, D, we have already used all of them. Can you please come up with just one?
Yes, letter C.
C.
Thank you,
Open.
Regina.
Open and end.
Open questions.
Yes.
Yes.
Letter C.
Remember when she said, don't ask questions like, were you terrified? The guy's going to say, yes, of course, or no, I wasn't. But if you say, how did you feel? How was it? Okay? That gives them a chance to express the reality, how they were feeling. Okay? One of the other pillars necessary for you to be a good conversationalist is to go with the flow. What did she mean by that? Go with the flow.
B.
B.
To let your thoughts come and go.
Were you already familiar with this article, Raquel, or no? It's the first time you
No,
were
no,
listening?
teacher, no.
Ooh la la, very good. What did she mean with the expression, err on the side of caution? Err is a suffix, okay? Like we use to make a profession, like engineer, okay?
Letter
Employee.
C. Letter
Okay.
C, teacher.
Wow, is there only one student in class today? What about the rest?
She's
I think it's
she's
C.
Oh,
fat.
Claudia, Erika, Regina. Oh,
Student.
Raquel,
Oh, hi, teacher.
let's give the guys a 5-minute recess.
Oh, sorry.
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 You're smashing
no
today,
problem.
okay? So you count until 5 and then you can answer. So they might have a chance.
Okay. I'm
You're
sorry.
smashing. No, you're smashing tonight. It's good. But you see, as Regina said, she's too fast. Why did she say, try not to repeat yourself?
Mhm.
5 seconds. Control it. Oh, I'm going to count. Tick tock,
Tick
tick tock,
tock.
tick tock, tick tock, tick tock.
Raquel,
now-
please
B.
help me.
It's B.
B.
Forgot
Carol,
something.
you're right. Now it's letter B. Why? Because when you start repeating yourself many times, you become condescending. you can say, teacher,
Something
what is
boring.
condescending? This is when you know, you want to give the impression that you are the best and F the rest, understand?
Mhm.
This
Not
is to
humble.
be condescending, not humble at all, understand?
Mhm.
You
Yes.
just think, I'm the best, I can do this, and blah, 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 okay? So if
Mhm.
you keep repeating, it seems like you are just condescending. You've already said it, just wait, okay? What does she mean by, remember, 5 seconds. Stay out of
Okay.
the weeds. Oh, I'm going to count like the Americans. Mississippi 1,
Teacher,
Mississippi
go down a
2,
little bit.
Go down,
Mississippi
teacher.
Go
3.
down a little bit.
Go down a little bit.
Yeah.
I thought it was in my count because my eyes
Okay.
were closed, like we're playing hide and seek, okay? Like Mississippi 1, Mississippi 2, Mississippi 3, Mississippi 4, Mississippi
See.
5. Go.
No?
No.
Stay off the. It's B. No. To describe the things more
2 more
precisely.
chances, Carol.
Teacher, come on.
A or D?
Now it's 50-50.
What means weeds?
For me, it's like marijuana.
Yes, I know only in this sense.
Yeah, me too.
But then it will not be stay out, okay? Come on.
You're gonna
girls,
stay
okay? In, okay? No, imagine you are walking in a forest, okay?
Mhm.
Mhm.
And you have the pathway to follow, the track to follow, okay?
Yes.
Weeds are the bad plants that grow outside the track. So this original sentence is avoid the weeds, stay out of the weeds. That means keep yourself on the track. If you go off track, you can get in contact with some poisonous plants or some weeds, not marijuana, of course, just bad plants, understand?
So the answer is letter A.
Yeah.
Exactly. That means stay on the track, be focused. Because the idea is sometimes you start telling a story, which might even be interesting, but then you want to add so many details that you lose the track. Understand? That's why stay out of the weeds, be objective. Understand? That is the idea here, to stay focused. Okay? And what did she mean when she said that maybe the most important pillar to be a good conversationalist was just listen?
A.
That's what Buddha said.
Letter C.
I was still in Mississippi 4, okay?
Really? No.
Listening is the most important skill you need to be a good conversationalist. The next one is good too. According to the speaker, why don't we listen to other people?
B.
B.
Yes.
We tend to centralize. We think that if we talk, we are in control of the situation. So we prefer to talk and be in control. I loved the last one. A good conversation is like a miniskirt.
Yes.
Yeah, this is amazing.
Short enough to retain interest, but long enough to cover the topic. So what did she mean by this?
Go down a little, teacher. Yeah, thanks.
The best answer is letter C.
That's my favorite too.
D.
So we are familiar, right, Raquel? We have been talking to each other for a long time, so you can wear a miniskirt near me, okay?
Okay, teacher.
D.
And briefly.
Yes, letter D.
Yeah.
Explain things thoroughly with a lot of details to get the other people to notice is the opposite effect. Other people will get distracted.
Bored.
They'll get bored. Show that you are interested in the miniskirt. Wow, that, wow. Don't wear a miniskirt when talking to people you are not very familiar with. No. Say whatever you have to say in a brief way. This is the answer.
Mhm.
I once was having dinner with one of my professors, English professors from University of Wisconsin, Madison, and we became best friends, okay? And one day he told me something and I kept that in my mind. And it was maybe 10 years before this woman made this presentation, a long time ago. He told me something and I never forgot. I decided to write it here for you to think about it. Out of the blues, he just told me, you know what? The less you speak, the more fluent you are. Think about it. The less you speak, the more fluent you are. That's the idea, to be brief. You have to express yourself. But sometimes, just because you don't know the right word, you keep beating around the bush for half an hour just to say something you could have said with one word. But you didn't know this word in English, understand?
Yeah.
So it makes perfect sense to say, when you can express your point of view using few words, it means you're really fluent. If you have to speak for like 30 minutes to say you want to go, you are beating around the bush. Okay?
Yeah.
So think about this, okay? Try to remember this next time you have a job interview. You don't have to formulate long answers. You have to be objective, always, understand? I remember every time I travel and the INS, the immigration officers, they always ask me, how long are you planning to be here? I never said more than 2 words. It's always 10 days, 1 week, 1 month. That's it. Some people will start, well, I think I'm going to be here for 10 days, but it depends on the weather, if the weather is good or not. They hate this. They might even kick your ass out of the airport, understand? Because they're just expecting a time. They're not there to listen to all the BS you have to say, understand? So it's just a time, 1 week. As long as you say an amount of time within permitted by the visa that you have, they don't give a shit about that. It can be, for instance, United States, you are legally allowed to stay until 6 months. So if you say 1 week, 2 weeks, 1 month, 3 months, 4 months, 5 months, 6 months, for them it's okay. If you say 7 months, they'll stop and say, oops, I'm sorry, that's not possible. You have like a B1 or a B2 visa. You can only stay here up to 6 months. Then if you try to say, but then I can go back earlier, that's too late. Understand? So you have to be objective in a situation like this. I hope you have a wonderful evening. Thank you very much for sharing this article, Carol. I thought it was very good. I hope you enjoyed the lesson I prepared. Okay?
Yeah.
I also had to read it, listen to it in order to prepare it, but I appreciate it. Okay? It was very good. Okay?
Very good.
Tomorrow I'll send you a copy of it, and tomorrow we will listen to the woman again. I know you have answered all the questions, but I want you to listen with the subtitles in English, and then you can ask me whatever question you might have. Is that a deal?
Okay.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
See you
Thank you,
tomorrow at the
teacher.
same
See you
time.
tomorrow.
Thank
Bye
you,
bye.
teacher.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.
Teacher.
Bye, Regina. Bye, everyone.
Bye.